I'm Suzanne Sabilla. I'm the owner of Sabilla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sabilla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I'm super excited to bring this guest on our show. She is absolutely amazing, and I know you're going to love her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a world-renowned international author, TEDx speaker, and a coach from confidence to charisma. She's absolutely amazing. Welcome to our show, Nina Perez. Woo, woo, woo. Let's go. Hearts and fires. Welcome, Nina. Welcome. It's so great to have you on the show. I'm so excited to talk with you about how you've pivoted in your life and business. So what's been the biggest pivot in your life or business? Tell us about that and how you've overcome those pivots.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll bring everybody back to COVID times. And I had two businesses at the time. I had a dance studio where I would teach people salsa, tango, bachata in person. And then I also had a coaching business where I would teach people how to be more confident and in their body. And COVID happened and it just shut down everything for me, the whole dance school. And my coaching business was about connection. It was about meeting people and all that. And so everything shut down and I had to really quickly figure out how to move everything online, my dance classes, and also the coaching. You know, here we are that we're social distancing. We're not allowed to see people. And I'm coaching people on how to talk to people and see people and meet people, all of this stuff. Yeah. And so it was really interesting. I had to go online. And at the time, Suzanne, I didn't even have a laptop. I just had my desktop. I would do a lot of events in person. I would have no problem like being in front of a crowd of 3,000, like in the TEDx, but everything was in person. And so going online, that same day that COVID shut down, I had to go buy a laptop. I had to go figure out, I had to call my friend who's a sound guy. And I'm like, what do I do? How do I do this stuff? Such a whole bunch of new things all at once. And, you know, we talk about social courage. I had to have the courage to tell my friends and family, even my students, what was going on. That, okay, we're going online and I don't know how to do this and we're going to do it together. We're going to figure it out. And this is what I came up with. And there was a lot of getting on video. There was a lot of learning sound and microphones and all of this stuff. And also my coaching business. I had to make alliances with people that were like, okay, now we're going to be doing Zoom dates. So Nina, can you coach people on Zoom, you know, on how to direct a Zoom meeting where nobody's like falling asleep? And how can you have a date through Zoom and all of these different relationship things? And it was difficult and I had to learn very quickly. And, you know, I pretty much had to pivot in one day.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, that's where I was coming from too, because I still remember that. I still recall that in 2020 when everything shut down and I had, you know, a business that was in person. I was doing coaching, I was doing training in person, and then everything shut down. I was like, what am I going to do? Right. And so I had to do the same thing, bring everything online. That's when I wrote my book as well about pivoting. So it's so great that you did the same thing. You pivoted in your life and in your business, and here you are now. So how did you overcome those obstacles? Because I know there was a lot of obstacles in your place, right? How did you overcome that?
Yeah, you know, the first thing that I had to understand was that all of a sudden I was a beginner again. Here I was online in front of the camera and I had to look at a green dot and relate to it and show my, connect through the green dot, and it was all brand new. And it brought me back to that beginner feeling and the beginner things that a lot of my students and clients go through. When you're starting something new, the first mistake people make is that they don't want to make any mistakes, right? They want to do it all right. And so I had to overcome that perfectionism. I had to overcome that like self-consciousness of getting on video. And I did a lot of things really wrong and really right. And so kind of, I maneuvered my way through. But the overcoming was a lot of talking to myself, of talking to friends and community around me to help me. And this is where the social courage concept comes in. For me, let me define this. Social courage is the ability for you to share yourself and your heart and your values in front of 1 or 100 people or 1,000 people or whoever, right? You coming as yourself and being able to share yourself vulnerably, to connect, to say, this is who I am. Do you want to be friends? This is who I am. I need help. This is who I am. This is what I'm going through. Can you relate? Right? That's the social courage, not just by yourself, but with other people. And
I love that. Yeah, that's so great.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that because it is about connecting with other people. I mean, that's how we met each other, right? Is through a community. And I think a lot of times we can be so scared or fearful and say, oh, I don't know if I want to tell other people or really show who I really am because they may not accept me as who I am. And there's that fear about that. And so it's so great that you're talking about that, like having that courage to be who you are and to have that vulnerability to show who you are and to be authentic. I love that. Yeah. That gets a flame. I don't know if people can see the flame.
You want to be authentic, but from a place of power. And I think this is where a lot of people step up. They're like, oh, I'm afraid to speak what's going on. Well, don't come from that fear place. Don't share your vulnerability from a place of fear. Share your vulnerability from a place of power, meaning you're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm so depressed, I'm defeated, and so on. But you can say, I'm having a challenge right now. I'm trying to get over it. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm having a challenge. So that's a different place to come from. You're coming from, I'm okay, I'm powerful, and I'm going to figure it out. This is my challenge versus I'm depressed and defeated and I don't know what to do and I'm in fear. Help me, right? It's a different energy. And so That's a distinction to think about.
Yeah, I love that too. That is so great that you made that distinction because that is so true. You don't want to come from a place of helplessness or feeling powerless or a place of fear. You want to come from that feeling of being powerful and overriding the fear. Like you can feel the fear, but put that in the passenger seat. Like you're the driver of your life. And so I love that you talk about that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's excellent. So tell us a little bit more of, like, give us some clues, some steps, if you will. We have this part of our conversation. We call it 3, 2, 1, go. And so give us 3 tips, 2 strategies, and 1 action item to pivot our lives forward.
Oh, I love this. So 3 tips. So my first tip is learn how to answer common questions that you're going to get asked, like, how are you? What do you do? And don't just be like, I'm good, I'm busy. Be like, I'm good. Let's say you want to say I'm good. Share some other thing. For example, I'm good. I'm so excited. I'm going to be on this podcast coming up that's going to be featured in Roku. And so that gives people an in to be like, oh, they can talk about Roku. They can talk about the podcast. They can talk about why are you featured? What are you going to talk about? There's like room to maneuver. And so one of those things when you're like, I don't know what to say with people. I don't know how to connect. This is why I don't want to get out there and be social because I don't know what to do. Practice. What are you going to say when somebody says, how are you? And don't just answer the normal way. So that's my first go-to tip. How are you and what do you do are questions that you're going to get asked a lot. So figure out how to answer them in a way that you give a little bit more of yourself. A little bit more what's happening. Maybe you're like, oh, how are you? I'm great. I'm so excited. My son just won his first game in basketball and he was so happy. And so now you can talk about your son, basketball, whatever, the season, school, right? It just opens up the whole world. Another tip is don't go at it alone. So I remember when I was getting on camera, so during my pivot, I started getting red every time I would get on camera, like super embarrassed. Sometimes I would say something and I'd be like, that's the wrong thing. And then I would become like fire hydrant red. Oh, no. And so it was very embarrassing. People would say, are you okay? What's going on? You know? And so it was very hard because it's like live and people are watching you, right? And so immediately when I started having those moments, I found a community and I joined like a 21-day video challenge, and we would record video every day. I didn't share those videos. I just did the thing with the community. And so I didn't go at it alone, right? And then other people would be like giving me tips, helping me. By the end of the 21-day challenge, I was no longer red. I was more like Rosie. I would be more like natural. And then over time, this is how I feel like now I'm not embarrassed anymore. But it took me some time, and being around the community helped me see that I wasn't alone at this, that other people were going through the same thing and giving me tips around it. Other things around social courage: don't be afraid to ask for help. Like when I had to pivot, I called like a whole bunch of friends, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Everything is shut down. And so what do I do? And so somebody said, go get a laptop, get a Mac. Somebody said, we need sound and lighting and microphones, and you need to figure out how to get the music. And so, brainstorming and, asking for help. A lot of people feel that that's the last thing that they want to do. But for me, that's like the first thing. You're trying something new. Don't try to do it alone. Go ask for help, find a community, and share with people what you're doing, even when somebody's asking you, how are you? So those are my 3 tips.
Excellent. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's so great. I would have never imagined that you would turn bright red and get embarrassed. I mean, Nina,
it's a different animal,
so
right?
confident. Yeah. And so charismatic that I can't imagine you turning bright red.
Yeah. And so 2 go-to strategies that I was thinking about. First is, before you're going to try something new, before you're going to pivot, or even before you're going to make these decisions, get in a good mood. So I dance, I sing, I go for a walk, I get in a good mood, and that makes everything go easier. And my second strategy is to get in the body when you're out there and use the body. Nod, handshake, smile at people, talk while you're smiling, like actually use your body to emote. It makes others feel comfortable. Never skip a handshake. That is all part of social courage, using touch and saying, oh my God, and like tapping somebody in the shoulder or in the elbow or something like that. And nodding when they're speaking, so that they're like, I'm being received. That person is listening. Like using your body to share with others, using your hands. Like this is me and I'm engaged. And so that's another strategy that helps you in the social courage kind of when you're out there and connecting. It helps you actually be more yourself, because you can use more parts of your body.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. Because a lot of times, I work with so many clients where they'll get into this mood or mode or the state of being where they're like, oh, I'm so anxious, or I feel so depressed. Like I feel so overwhelmed. And they keep on that. And I always say to them, you got to move your body, change your state of being. You got to move, change your physiology, so to speak, get up, exercise, do some jumping jacks, dance, do something physical. And that will change the state of how you're feeling. Like, oh, really? So I love that you said that, because it's so true. Great. Yeah. So what's the one action item that we can do to pivot our lives forward?
I love this. I was actually recording a video about this earlier. Commit 100%, not 99. I heard this saying, and I loved it. It said 100% is easy, 99% is hard, because that 1% is going to grow and you're going to have doubt. And so what does commitment look like? It means that you say you're going to do something and then you do it. And so practicing is one of the things I would commit to. Practice asking a new question, practice making eye contact, practice speaking with a smile when you're speaking, practice using your hands, practice going to new events, like checking out things that you're like, okay, I'm going to try this new networking event, this Zoom virtual club. I'm going to try all of these different things, making that a commitment that if you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
Love it, love it, love it. That gets another flame. Woo! Go, Nina, go. That's awesome. Yeah. Click, 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 click. Yeah. So great. So how do you actually overcome those challenges, though? Because I know that you were saying before you were really shy growing up, and that was a big fear of yours, is to really get out there. And now, look at you now. You're a TEDx speaker, an international author. You're going on stages and such. So how did you overcome that?
I call myself a liberated shy girl. And, it actually started, it's very small steps, little bit by little bit. And one technique I can share is this idea of looking at someone that you already see as charismatic or see as someone you're like, I love the way that they do something or the way that they are. And you ask yourself, like, what would that person do? It's kind of like you put on a hat. If I put on a hat, it's still Nina with a hat, but I look a little different because I have a hat on, right? So when you want to evolve, you really need to try new things, but you need to try them on. So you're going to maybe, look at somebody that you find, okay, I love the way that person asks questions or answers, and I'm going to try that on. How would I answer? How are you? And so you put that on like a hat, and you're going to not pretend, but you're going to feel the energy of that friend of yours, so that person or that speaker that you're like, I love how they speak. I want to speak more like them. And you model. So you go out there and you try. And what I would say is that what happened to me is because of my dance background. So I had a dance school. I knew how to try on different energies that would go with different music. So tango, very different energy than salsa, right? And so in tango, I had to tap into melancholy. I had to tap into passion, sadness, love, longing for someone, because tango is very much that energy. The music is very, it's slow at times and strong at times. When I was dancing salsa, I had to tap into the playful side of me, the fun, sexy side of me, the kind of cheeky side. And so in dance, I learned how to bring those emotions out, how to emote those feelings. And I would have to feel them inside before I could dance it. So I just transfer that to my everyday life. So the shy girl would act and move a certain way, but the liberated shy person, like the confident person, would move and act a different way. So I would walk like I was a confident person, imagining someone that I know is confident, and all of a sudden my hips would move more, or I would stand a little straighter, or I would walk in the room and take a moment to look around. The shy girl would not do that, but the confident girl inside of me would take a moment and kind of scan the room. The shy girl would be like, I'm going to not look down. Where can I go hide, right? So I had to learn how to play those games with myself. And little by little, step by step, I was able to overcome. And I didn't no longer feel that way. I didn't feel so shy anymore after I practiced the confident walk, or, how to handshake in a certain way, or I practiced answering questions differently.
That is so cool. I love this, because it is, again, going back to the body and the physiology and acting as if, right? I mean, I took a lot of acting classes and was on stage before, and did, as a drama therapist as well. And so a lot of times, people would come, clients, where they're like, I just feel so sad. I feel so depressed, and I don't know why. And their body language was right, like slumped shoulders, they're looking down, they're like, sadness in their face. And I'm like, okay, let's move, right? Move the body, like put the shoulders back, chin up, like smile. And they're looking at me going, what the heck are you doing? Right? It's the same kind of thing, right? You go in there with a smile on your face, shoulders back, and you act confident, and you start to feel confidence. So I love that you talk about that.
And that's the thing. I don't like this idea of fake it till you make it. I always say, like, feel it. Feel it. And over time you evolve. And sometimes that takes some practice. Like I ask my clients, like sometimes a lot of my clients, when they're shy or introverted, or they're unsure or hesitant, or they have impostor syndrome, they get really serious. So one of the exercises I give them is grab a book and read out loud with a smile. So you're saying, like, Atomic Habits. This is you are what you repeat. And so you're reading with a smile. And so they start feeling what that feels like. And instead of reading seriously, right, it feels a lot different. Plus you look a lot different. But now if you're talking through your smile, people will receive you differently. They will see you're more warm. And so that's an exercise people can do every day. You're like reading with a smile, and it feels different. And so when you're doing over time, are you fake smiling? No, you're actually now have learned how to speak through the smile, right? So your body has evolved. And so it takes little, practical ways. And this is why my dance background helps so much, because I break it down in my confidence coaching, practical ways of how to embody these things so they are naturally you now, the evolved you.
Wow. I love that. So great, Nina. So great. Another flame. Let's go. What's that?
I need to get myself one of those emoji things.
I know. I love it. I love it. Yeah, just tell us a little bit more, about the mindset, because I know a lot of that is, mindset and shifting the mindset, and especially if we feel that imposter syndrome, like you were talking about. I know many of my clients feel that way, where it's like, oh, they're in a certain position at their career and like an executive role, for example, and they just don't feel like they are suited to that, or they feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. They feel all those imposter syndrome kind of feelings. So how do you overcome that? Tell us about it.
I'll tell you a cute story, but I'll also kind of share how that works for adults. So my son, when he was little, he was actually afraid of the hand dryer that blows air.
Yeah.
Noise. He was 2 and he was afraid. And I remember one day we're like at the pool. I want him to dry his hands and he doesn't want to. And so I looked at the machine and I said, you don't want to go and put your hands under the tickle machine? I'm like, oh my God. And so I put my hands under the machine and it's making noise. And I'm like, laughing. And I'm like, I love the tickle machine. And he looked at me like, I interrupted the pattern, right?
Mm.
And he put his hands under and he starts laughing too. And so now we're both laughing and we're laughing under the tickle machine. And so that was a mind reframe, but It was also an experience. So he was afraid. I made a story around it that was going to be beneficial for him. He tried it. He had an experience and it went well, right? So now every time we went to any bathroom, we couldn't stop. We had to go through the tickle machine. It was this new thing. He was no longer afraid. But it is so quick and easy to do that with ourselves, but don't go short from just creating a new story. You need to create an experience right after it. So sometimes people are saying, I'm so shy to go speak to someone, or, I came, but I don't feel good. I'm going to leave. What you do before you go to the event or before you pitch or before you get on camera is so important. You want to start creating a new story around it. So for my son, it was the tickle machine. For my clients, I always say, ask a better question. Maybe something like, who am I going to meet that's going to change the course of my life in the next networking meeting? Who am I going to impact? They're going to come back and say, you gave me my life back, or you changed my life. Like what, if you ask yourself those questions, now you're going to have a different feeling around it, but then go into the event like it already happened, like you did meet somebody that is going to change the life, like you changed somebody's life. So when you leave the event, you're like, find the wins in that event. Yes, this happened, that happened. I got a great opportunity. You want to celebrate. So you want to kind of reinforce the story with an experience. So you go out there, you talk to people, but now you're talking from the place of, am I going to change your life? Are you going to change my life? Like the curiosity is there, and that curiosity creates different chemistry in your body. So that's the experience you're creating. You're talking to people. Maybe somebody says, oh, you need to be on my podcast. You really want to feel that in the moment. Like, yes. And when you're done that event, you got to celebrate. Oh my God, now I'm going to be a podcast. Who knows how many people I'm going to change by what I'm sharing and talking, right? And so you're magnifying the experience behind the story. So you start with the story and then you create an experience with it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That is fire. That is fire in hearts. I absolutely love what you just said. And I love the tickle machine. How brilliant that is. That is so brilliant. I mean, that really shifted for him, right? It shifted the fear of like, oh my gosh, I can't do that, to, well, I want to go to the tickle machine. I want to get that laughter going. I want to get that feeling again. That's so brilliant. And I love what you're talking about, like change the story and your perception of the story and the experience that goes behind that too. And you'll change everything. Wow.
Yeah, because our brains are very smart and we need to find evidence to match new story. So a lot of people fall short. They'll just tell the story to themselves, but then they don't really believe it and they have no evidence. And so then it's like they feel like they're lying to themselves. So that's where mindset work is not enough if you don't create experience and evidence to, back up your new story.
Yeah, so true. So true. Having the experience to back it up. I love it. So great. So where can we find you, Nina, and how can we connect with you?
Well, I'm all over, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on my website. Like all the latest news is under ninaperez.ca because I'm a Canadian girl, like live in Canada. And if you want to have some of these amazing, powerful questions you can ask to people and figure out how do I answer this question so that you're ready. I also have a free guide. It's called the Powerful Questions Free Guide. And you can find that at ninaperez.ca as well.
That's fantastic. I love it so much. Is there anything else you want to add?
I want to share that now with AI and all of these new things that are coming and clone videos and all these things, people want you. It's not that we want perfection. We want you. So if you have the social courage to get on video, to go out, to meet people in person, to even go on in virtual events and say, hey, can I connect with you offline? Like, here's my calendar. All these things, is what is going to matter in the end. That's going to further your business, further your relationships, further your life. And I feel that sometimes we get lost with the new technology and we forget the old school, that we're people. We want to talk to people, we want to connect, and we want to meet real great people. And you are that. So go out there and don't be afraid to, share yourself. Like have a little bit more social courage than you had yesterday and get out there.
I love it. Love it so much. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. Really appreciate you, Nina. This has been fabulous. Love it so much. Thank you. And thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for watching our show. We're here every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm actually doing a mastermind class. It's a free mastermind class, 90 minutes. It's every other week. So we're starting again next week, Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. And you'll learn how to pivot in your life. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling stuck in your life right now, you can pivot your life to a life you love. And I'll teach you all the techniques to do that in our Pivot You Masterclass. So sign up. You can sign up for the class today and join us next week, January 14th at 4 o'clock Pacific time in our free masterclass. Again, thanks for joining. Pivot to a life you love. Woo! Let's go. Let's go. Change and shift your energy. Pivot